So when I started the Shimmy Sisters with my sister, my blood sister, I really didn't know what to expect. I had no expectations. Again, I didn't know I didn't realize how privileged I was as an artist with my background. So when I thought about moving to California, I was like, oh my God, that's like Hollywood and da da da, and I started feeling like little old me. Little did I know that I had been doing this since my mother's womb, literally, literally belly dancing since my mom's womb. And so of course, and then working with my sister, of course, there ended up being a magic there that was even bigger than I had expected. I had intended to do my dance company while going to school for psychology and getting a degree, which I did do. I did do that, but what I didn't expect was that the entertainment world was going to swoop me in like it did. And starting my career in entertainment really launched me. And your character develops so much. I can't think of another career where you interact with as many personalities. You don't have one client. You have hundreds of clients. You don't, I remember working and belly dancing at hookah lounges and restaurants, and the owners would be very like, oh, strict and make you wait. And through that process, I had to, again, find my voice. And as part of being a professional, and now I'm like, you know what? I don't get paid to get bossed around. Like, I offer, value and a service. And of course, that comes with also growing up and becoming a woman and becoming a professional in any field. And entertainment really does make you grow up quickly and really know how to set your boundaries. Aside from just working with clients, you build fans. And so I was building fans and followers and all of this pretty naturally. And so when I started to then take more of my focus into my visual art, I already had people looking at me. I already had started my newsletter. So I never thought like, I have a business plan. I'm going to first do entertainment, build it. It happened very naturally. And other visual artists are like, how do you have people that follow you? Because it's harder as a painter, I think, in some ways to really, there is live painting, but to be able to be on a stage and connect with people through performance art and then start the painting, it really did open a lot of doors for me. My sister's now one of my main agents, her and Gabriel. They run an entertainment company, and so they shifted from being full-time entertainers to being entertainers and agents. So we have a really great nest, I guess you can call it. And, I would rather be booked out than to have to book myself, so I can focus mostly on my painting and my performing and not working with people. But working with people has been such an advantage, and it can be really challenging because you deal with all sorts of personalities, and it's your art, sometimes people are calling you and they're trying to get deals out of you, and so you got to learn to kind of not take things personal, and again, set your own personal boundaries, just like in any relationship. So yeah, I would say the Shimmy Sisters opened all of these doors. That was my one and only career, and now I have way too many.
That's awesome. Awesome. It's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Right? So what advice can you share with our artist sisters watching on how they can be successful and supported by their art? I see so many with the starving artist mentality. It kind of breaks my heart a little bit. What has been the key to your success?
So I was thinking about this last night, and as lame as it might sound, having and creating a system is really important. When you work for yourself, nobody tells you when to wake up. Nobody tells you how much work you need to get done by the end of the day. No one tells you what your priorities are, because sometimes the priorities are not making money. Sometimes it's actually setting up an idea or developing a concept and then producing it and then maybe making money. So there's all of these things that you need to figure out what's important for you. What's your long-term goal? What's your short-term goals? Like, what do you need to cover per month? And it's up to you to really create that. And I think that's in a way, whether you're leading other people or you're just leading yourself, you need to step into being a leader. And I'm really big on thinking for yourself. And so I'm talking about, like making up a system for yourself and something that works for you. I love colors. Like if you see my art, if you see my house behind me, like if you see the way I dress, I love colors. So I've created systems that work for me. I have different categories, and I'll color code my calendar. I have shared calendars for the different groups I'm involved with, and so my dance classes might be green if I'm scheduling privates. If I'm selling work or meeting with clients related to art, that might be red. And so I've just found that works for me personally, and I guess to find success, you need to really find what it is you feel is success first and foremost. What do you want? What is going to make you feel successful? And then try to find pathways to get there. And I don't consider myself an optimist. I kind of consider myself a realist. But in that thinking, I think that there are always a lot of possibilities. So it is a little bit optimistic, I guess, in nature. But to really be able to say, okay, I want to do this, and I can see all these different ways to get there, and then just to go from the big pot of all these ideas and then go, okay, I'm going to try this road. Oh, that didn't work. And so part of it is just, really seeing those possibilities and trial and error. And first and foremost, just being passionate enough to know that even if you failed, it was still worth trying. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Even if you failed, it was worth trying, and you probably learned some lessons from that failure. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then you'll realize there's not really, if I told you how many things I've started that were flops, you would be like, oh my gosh, and you're still going. There's so many things I've done that have been really successful. And I think that's, people only see the successful things because those are the things that make it into the spotlight. But I've tried so many things or worked with people that just was like, oh my God, I busted my ass for, blah, blah, blah weeks or months. And that did not work out the way I had planned. And so there's a type of resilience, I guess, that, is important too with entrepreneurial. And maybe not everyone wants to do it full time, and you can still be successful at your passion. Maybe being successful is just being able to get off, have a half-time job that, gives you some steady money, and then you can come home and create bracelets if that's what you love. I can't define other people's success, but it's a good thing to define for yourself.
Defining your own success, yeah, definitely, that's important piece of the puzzle. I love how you mentioned it's important to think for yourself and come up with systems that work for you. Can you tell us about why this is important and how you were able to create the systems that were right for you? I know you mentioned it a little bit with like your color coding and.
Yeah, I think I touched on that question. Maybe I jumped forward a little bit, but I think those related. But again, it's not that you should not take advice from other people, because I think part of thinking for yourself is actually taking input. I think I could appear a little bit more stubborn than I am, but a lot of times I really think it's important to take feedback from people, or even if it's like an art critique, to take it. But if somebody's like, oh, that leg is too big, instead of going, oh my God, that leg on that figure is too big, you can say, oh, okay, now let me not get defensive. I'm going to look at this. Do I think it's too big? Actually, it's not bothering me. Or sometimes maybe it will. And I think that's like a that balance. Where I was talking about balance. It's the balance between remaining open-minded and taking the input from reality or from people, but also making your own decisions and moving from a place where you're like, okay, I hear that, but I really believe in this. I'm going to try it. And being somebody, obviously, if you're trying to make income off of what you're doing, you do need to take into consideration what people are enjoying. You know, to a very high degree, we live in supply and demand. So if I'm putting something out there, and if on Facebook, and there's like, you know, 200 people liking it or commenting, I'm like, okay, people are digging this, and that makes me excited. So I actually move more into that. Okay, people like this. Or if I don't get a lot of feedback, I'm like, well, I'm not doing this for myself only. I'm doing this so people can enjoy it. So I think that kind of being scientific and saying, okay, I'm going to try this. How's it working? You know, and checking things out is a part of creating systems. And then, of course, I already talked about just like creating a system that works for somebody personally. And maybe that's created. Maybe somebody wants routine. They're like, I just work better when I wake up at 8 a.m. And so they try that. It works for them. Then they can keep doing that. Me personally, I have given up on the trying to make routines, so I have none whatsoever. So and that seems to work for me once I've accepted it. So you know, we're all unique and creative individuals, and that's what makes what we offer so special. You know, nobody's gonna do what you're doing if you're doing it authentically, because nobody's like you. And people will actually seek you for what you do. Like, I'm a painter, and you know, I don't think people seek me because, oh, you're so technically skilled, and you know, I think people seek me because of my style and my ability to communicate and convey emotion, or my ability to relate to the audience. I may not be the most skilled belly dancer, but if I can connect with people, that's something that's authentic to me. And I think everyone should remember that for themselves. And, you know, honestly, I just hope that, you know, people can find that within themselves and realize, okay, this will target my audience because somebody out there or some people out there are going to like who I am. And besides what they're actually doing, if it's massage therapy or whatever.
Yeah, thank you. That's wonderful advice. Thank you for sharing your wisdom.
You're welcome.
So how can we allow our views on life to shape our inspiration and vice versa?
So a good question, and it's a hard one to sum up. I think like the way that we perceive the world is basically, it filters into everything that we do. So if I see the world as scarce, it's going to change my motives for how I sell my artwork or my performances. It's gonna shape the way that I relate to people. Maybe if I have people over for, you know, art, I may not like have a potluck, or I may just eat before. And basically, whatever we believe is going to shape the way we interact with everything and everyone. And so I think ultimately, the way that you said our views shape our inspiration, I think that how we see the world and how we have a filter or a lens, and everything that happens is coming through that. And so we're deciding how we're viewing that, and again, whether we're going to take this personal, whether so I think it has everything to do with inspiration. And I think that as the more that we can kind of see the way that we're shaping our reality, we'll be a little bit more empowered, for one, and then from there, you know, you can draw inspiration, and it could just be the mood you're in. I might see the same tree every day, but if my perspective shifts one day, I might see it in a different way. So I really see them being the same. I get a lot of inspiration by inspiration itself. Like I said, with freestyling or flowing, it's like, oh my gosh, all these little things are coming, and one will come back one day, and I'll be like, well, okay, that one's reoccurring. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And sometimes I won't even get it until I'm finished with the painting, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's so symbolic. And that, you know, so sometimes just not questioning it and running with it is also a good thing. But I always say, how does nature get its inspiration? And I don't know that I have the answer to that, and I don't want to know the answer to that. I think it's beautiful the way things are shaped and formed naturally. And as an artist, a lot of times you're just trying to emulate what nature's already done such a great job of.